don't have to wait. Dell Technologies and Intel are pushing what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now.
Is this the tackle?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man.
The Dodgers kept pace with Atlanta for Major League Baseball's best record. They beat the Giants last night by 5. Designated hitter J.D. Martinez drove in 3 runs. The Dodgers are 3.5 games behind Atlanta for the best record and home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Interesting decision Saturday for college football fans in the western part of the country. The Colorado-Oregon game and UCLA's matchup at Utah both have 12:30 p.m. kickoffs. All 4 teams are 3-0 and ranked in the top 25. The UCLA-Utah game is on Fox. ABC is carrying the Colorado-Oregon game. This will be the first Pac-12 conference game for Colorado coach Deion Sanders. 5th-ranked USC has a night game Saturday at Arizona State. 7:30 kickoff on Fox. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
On Monday, October 9th, don't miss the KBLA Talk 1580 exclusive. The tape. 1 year later.
Y'all were coming for us.
Yeah, but Tavis, that's not in my heart. I wasn't coming for anyone like that. I apologize, but that was not me. That's not in my heart. And like I said a few moments ago, I have a solid, demonstrable record of shared power that's real and concrete. That can't be misinterpreted.
Join Tavis Smiley and an all-star panel of political insiders, influencers, and journalists for a look back at the crisis that shook LA City Hall when 4 Latino leaders were caught on tape making racist, demeaning, and derogatory statements about black people and other fellow citizens. On Monday, October 9th, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580, The Tape. 1 year later. We'll broadcast live an afternoon drive from 5 to 7 p.m. with an immediate encore presentation from 7 to 9 p.m. When all was said and done, was more said than done. 1 year later. Are there fractures in LA's black-brown political partnership? And where do we go from here? Don't miss The Tape. 1 year later. Only on KBLA Talk 1580. Monday, October 9th. Live from 5 to 7 p.m. with an immediate encore presentation from 7 to 9 p.m. We've got a lot to talk about.
Give them hell, my fears saying I need a break. The foot I put on neck saying keep the pace. Smile say I'm good, but stomach say I ain't eating days. Mom saying dream bigger, son, you need a lake. Pop saying save your penny, son, you need a place. My friends saying keep it pimpin' blood, you need a race. My fam starting this tradition now of being safe. My ex picking now to tell me how she want a space. She be stressed if I ain't text her every couple days. She ain't special, ain't no pressure when you run the game. Another extra in my section when I'm up at Dre's. Talk to me nicely, walk through is pricey. Till my mom's in the hills and Lil brought them icy. Jesus hand on the wheel, it feels like a vice grip. If I ain't give you the chills, I feel there's alright this. My brother wears heart on his sleeve. His only motivation now is loving to see. We at Cuzzo graduation, manifesting our dreams. As I write the homie Lock, who should've played in the league. Man, it's hard being the woke. The only one scoring get ball to me when I'm open. They guarded me and I'm stroking from hard and deep in the ocean. This dream take guts, heart, arteries, and devotion. Swear to God, yo, count up my bad days, combat my past ways. Cause sometimes my pride just won't leave me alone. Cause home don't even feel like how we used to feel, dog. For real, Father Time just won't leave me alone. Come on. Shorty got your seed now, Daddy put the streets down. But meanwhile, my side chicks won't leave me alone. Let's go. Someone keep it real with me, follow up and build. Yeah. Put the steel down, the vibes just won't leave me alone.
KBLA Talk 1580. Speaking about writers, it's a writery, creative-y kind of day around here. That writer is Miles Lowe, Miles Lowe Music, where you can follow him, where you can keep up with his music. And there's lots of new stuff dropping all the time. That's the thing. Miles Lowe Music on Instagram or wherever you get your music things. Yeah, that's good stuff, Miles. It's a great way to go to kick off, to end up our Friday. You see, if you're on YouTube, KBLA 1580, I'm wearing my I'm with the black shirt in honor of racist, disgraced council member Kevin De Leon, who is now back in the hunt to be reelected. That to me is amazing. Yeah, just the audacity that you can be heard on tape, you know, talking racist, talking anti-renter, talking anti-indigenous, co-signing it, laughing at it, diminishing black folks, and then you run for re-election. I mean, that you have the nerve. This is the nerve to come up here to this radio station and talk to Tavis Smiley and say, "Oh, the racism is not in my heart. It's not in my heart." I don't care if it's in your butt, your brain, your big toe. You cannot be on the LA City Council. He has managed to stick it out, to keep his butt there. And it's national news. I mean, I saw it on CNN and Yahoo News announcing that he was running for re-election. I hope the terrible polling holds up, and we're going to talk about it because I don't want you to forget, right, why this guy, he shouldn't even be in that seat now, let alone re-election. And the way that the re-election is being crafted on this divisive anti-black agenda, it's just so creepy. Scarier than Halloween. Yeah, we understand Spanish. Don't try to send these little tricky anti-black messages to your poor constituents who are not well informed about the reasons for your demise, that may think that it's simply black people flexing on a Latino. No. Anti-indigenous, anti-renter, anti-LGBTQ plus. I mean, there is an incredible coalition of offense here, a coalition of discrimination in your comments, your remarks. Really looking forward to the tape 1 year later. I can't say it really good like Dominique, but because it's important for people not just to like revisit the news, but to remember why Black Lives Matter was up there until the disgraced, racist, insincere former council member left his house, and why people were in the city council chambers, people from all kinds of organizations, including indigenous organizations, up there calling for this man to resign, which he has refused to do. He's continued to collect his check, but we're not going away. Not even a little bit. So, yeah. Happy Friday. I'm with the blacks. So what's going on? Talk to me, 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. I'm on a mission about reparations. It's not a new mission for me. Those of you who listen to me on Street Science, on Front Page, and all the other things I've done in between know that reparations is something I have believed in, just like I've believed in the decriminalization of cannabis and really all controlled substances, not for recreation, as cannabis, I believe, I've always believed recreationally should be available, medicinally should be available. But the decriminalization of drugs, there are things that are themes that I've been talking about for decades. The destigmatization, I got that word. And decriminalization of LGBTQ plus, which seems to be more urgent for the T right now with these laws restricting trans people. Some of these things are recurring themes. We need to turn up the volume at key points when we are at a crossroads. We are at a crossroads right now with reparations. The California Task Force having completed their work, and now we have to pressure lawmakers to implement those recommendations. with these reparation task forces turning up in cities across the nation. We've got to push the line. All of these things represent momentum, and that's why you're going to hear more and more conversations about reparations on this show, because I want you to have your arguments. I want you to be clear. I want us to be clear about what we're talking about, what has happened, what we mean, what these different factions are bringing to the table, and how we might leverage all of them to actually get these policies and payments across the finish line. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on those conversations that we've been having, especially we had a real powerful talk on Wednesday. If you missed that one, by the way, you can find it with Rashid Littlejohn. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts. You can find it on our app, which we encourage you to download from the App Store or the Google Play Store. It is free. Our podcasts are free. If you missed that conversation on reparations or the one with attorney Nkichi Taifa, you can find those on the KBLA app for free and listen anytime at your leisure on your phone. 800-920-1580, that's the number. Of course, we're tracking the Trump train wreck as it gets more and more train wrecky, and the insane chaos in the House of Representatives. What did you expect when you put Matt Gaetz, when you put Matt Gaetz and Josh Hawley and Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Kevin McCarthy in charge of the U.S. Congress? I know they don't control the Senate, but their presence is there. It's this really fascist agenda. And the fact that a guy, the Tommy Tuberville guy, thinks that it's okay for you to control the nominations or the confirmations of people in the U.S. military or anywhere else because you don't like a policy. So what you're saying to me is because you're a congressperson, you can overturn the will of the voters, overturn duly elected and appointed representatives from doing their job because you don't like it. You individually don't like it. You don't like the U.S. military giving their women, soldiers, and employees support if they need to terminate a pregnancy. So therefore, you're going to hold the entire country hostage, actually endanger our national security until you get your way. I'm all for protests, but what we're talking about here is a small group of far right-wing, conservative, anti-justice, pro-fascist lawmakers who are in the minority, meaning you did not get elected to run stuff. You're trying to run it as a small interest group, a small hate group, to be realistic about it, and override the will of the people. Isn't that rich? Let's go to Dwight from the city of Compton. Good morning, Dwight. What's up?
Good morning, Dominique, Hotep. Good morning to all the KBLA listeners out there, and a shout out to you, Tavis, and Miles, and everyone there at KBLA. Like I always say, the best radio station on the planet. I'd like to thank you for that contractors seminar you had last weekend. I really enjoyed the information, and I'm still going over it. It was a lot to absorb that day. And just want to tell you, you really look nice in your black dress. I think about 4 or 5 brothers signed up for KBLA's app when you walked out on the stage, Dominique.
Thank you.
I saw them pulling out their cell phones. I said, oh, okay, that's the way to get them to sign up for KBLA, huh? All right.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
And Brother Rambo kind of reminded me of Cat Stevens a little. He's kind of a comedian mixed in there with the information. He really gave us...
he's a character, that's for sure. That was my first time meeting him, and I think Tavis and Rambo are going to, do that again. I'm glad you got a lot out of it. I was there, I was there to support, so. Yeah,
and when he asked us who do we work for, I'm glad you got it back. You said... when you pulled his name out there, Rambo, who does he work for? And we always say he works for us. I'm glad you got it back. You showed your humorous side comedian side right there. I said, "Oh, get him, Dominique, get him." But it was so enjoyable, Dominique, and I just want to thank you for all the information you've given us on like this Alabama senator that's holding up everything. Tuberville. They finally just said, "Forget him." I think they pushed through. I think that the three, and one of them was the top person of the head of the military, the chief in staff. I think it is the one black nominee. And ironically, they had one black and two white top heads of the military. The black top head of the military got 11 Republicans to vote against him. The other white nominee got only one, and then the other white nominee was 100% voted for him through. I said, boy, racism shows its ugly head all the time. Sometimes
you're talking about General Randy George and General Eric Smith, Randy George, the Army, Eric Smith, Marines. But the problem is that these, if they have to do it one at a time like this, it's going to take 100 years. It's going to suck up all of the time in the Senate. And those are chief of staff. I guess Randy George is the chief of staff. Chief of staff. Right.
And I got an idea that they're trying to slow down all the top militaries, hoping Trump gets elected, so Trump can put his people over as many top military appointments as possible. I mean, this white supremacy
interesting.
He's holding them up. Hope Trump will get elected, and then put his people and goodbye democracy, hello fascism.
Yeah, the new junta. The guy you're talking about is General Charles Q. Brown Jr., African American. He's the chairman of the Air Force, and he was also confirmed with a little more resistance. But the thing is, this Tuberville guy, he is still successful in his blockade because they do not have the time nor the wherewithal to go one at a time with all of these appointments. And I just think it's wrong. Hold that thought, Dwight. Continuing the conversation when we come forward, because to your point, this is part and parcel of what Trump was demanding on yesterday, as far as why they got to copy everything. They got Blue Lives Matter. Now they have defund the investigations. I roll. KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
Hi, this is LA City Councilman Curran Price, inviting you to the 28th Annual Central Avenue Jazz Fest on September the 23rd from 11 to 7 p.m. For nearly 3 decades, the Central Avenue Jazz Festival has paid homage to the legendary Central Avenue and its influence on jazz history. Jazz, blues, and Latin jazz will be featured on 3 stages of music. Co-headlining are Hubert Laws with special guest Eloise Laws and the Billy Childs Quartet featuring Sean Jones. The day includes plenty of food, merchants, and 4 pavilions focused on youth programming, art, health and wellness, and public resources. Parking is limited, so Metro and rideshare are recommended. Hubert Laws with special guests Eloise Laws and the Billy Childs Quartet featuring Sean Jones. The day includes plenty of food, merchants, and 4 pavilions focused on youth programming, art, health and wellness, and public resources. For more information, visit CentralAveJazzFest.com. CentralAveJazzFest.com. See you on the 23rd.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found BenefitsCheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. BenefitsCheckup.org.
Moments like seeing my son's team cheer him on mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that has spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DePrima on First Things First.
Right now. Dwight from Compton bringing up a lot of good things, important things. You can do the same, 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580, talking about how this Tuberville character... I think now this is one of those moments where I am feeling like I've made a few revolutions around the planet, because the fact that things when I was growing up, the things these folks are doing would make them unelectable, right? Lauren Boebert, grabbing someone's crotch in a crowded theater during a kids' play and vaping. She would be unelectable. Yeah, attacking the Capitol, right? Paying off a porn star. Like, my understanding of the world coming up with was that these were disqualifiers, but now they just seem to be a big nothing. And I think it's because of their, the base that they have of people that are willing to believe outright lies or the spin. How do these conservative, super supposedly pro-life, which means anti-choice, these supposedly super religious people, how do they justify voting for a Donald Trump who says it's fine to grab people by the genitals, and a Lauren Boebert who's literally doing it in a theater and then lying about everything? But apparently that morality piece that they supposedly have is optional.
Yeah, they're trying to normalize white supremacy. They're trying to normalize it, just like the people in the South couldn't vote, but the black people in the North could vote, and it was just accepted for a long time. You might go down and visit your grandmother in Mississippi; she can't vote, and then you go back to New York and you can vote. I mean, they try to normalize white supremacy racism, and they're doing it on a bunch of levels, Dominique. I mean, the racist billionaires are taking our Supreme Court justices like Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito out on yachts and expensive vacations that they don't even report. And then Jenny Thomas, I found she was getting money from a nonprofit around the table, like you paying somebody at the liquor store without, taking out Social Security, to take your boxes out and stock your shelves. And then he retires, or some liquor store sold for somebody else. That person left out in the cold with no Social Security, because he's been working at the liquor store for years and years. But they got a Supreme Court. They got they're trying to actually force white women by ending abortion. It have nothing to do with caring for children, because they vote against the child poverty tax all the time. So they don't really care nothing about no children, no poor children. And there's more poor white children than there's poor black children. But white supremacy blinds your eyes to common sense things. And Dominique, in close, I'm just going to say that we just have to continue to fight white supremacy, because it's all connected. The voting suppression against the black people, the bribing the Supreme Court to take out the voting protection rights that we had, to make sure that they had to get okays before they start changing voting districts and closing polling locations. They even tried to claim that, okay, you get ID from the DMV, and then what do? They close the DMV down. So now you got to drive miles and miles to a DMV just to get a voter's ID, just to vote. And people have been voting for years and years. May not even have a birth certificate, some of our older citizens, because they were born at home, maybe with a midwife. So
yeah,
it's all related.
It is related. I mean, when you talk about the voter ID thing, you're also talking about unhoused people who don't have the money to pay
No
those fees. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean that they want to cheat on their voting. It just means that it is meant to deter us from doing so. Yeah.
Exactly. And in closing, Dominique, Tavis had a young man on his show, I forgot the name, but he was exposing this billionaire named Ed Bloom that funded the college affirmative action lawsuit to stop that. Now he's trying to do the same thing at West Point to stop them promoting black officers to kind of balance out their army. I mean, you got a 50% army and 2 black officers.
Yeah.
You know, just like the NFL.
Well, Dwight, yeah, I mean, but it's not surprising. I mean, yeah, it's not surprising. It's not surprising because every time these anti-justice folks, these conservatives, when you give them an inch, they take a mile. And I admire that. I don't agree with it, but I admire it. We got to do a better job of that. You give us an inch, we take a mile. Hold the line, push the line. Hold the line, push the line. Really, that's what they do. They do it because they can, right? And that's a perfect example. You know, you think they overturned Roe v. Wade to let the states make up their own minds? No, they didn't. They're pushing for a national ban. They're pushing for a national prohibition on women having decision-making power over our own bodies. Do you think the affirmative action ruling by the Supreme Court was just meant to impact Harvard and other private universities? Of course not. What comes next? Public universities, businesses, DEI bans. This isn't hyperbole. It's what we've seen them methodically doing. What's coming out of Texas, what's coming out of Florida. Those are not, oh, we did it, now we're done. Now we're going to go watch Beetlejuice and grab our friends' private parts in the theater. No, this is an ongoing campaign. Yes, they may be stumbling a little bit, and Donald Trump may be acting amazingly vague for somebody who's taken credit for overturning Roe v. Wade. Trump is now tap dancing because he wants to get those conservative women to vote for him, thinking of all of the candidates running for president on the Republican side, he would be the most pro-woman. Ha, ha, ha. But that's the pattern. That's the pattern of these Republican MAGA women voting against their own interests, against their own bodies, and even the so-called independents. I say so-called because to me, many of the independent voters that are news media tracks, are mainstream media tracks, are those that are really Republicans or right-leaning, but they don't want that label for whatever reason. It's not stylish. So they're really conservative-leaning voters who call themselves independents. That those they'll break for Trump, and he's trying to walk that line of having it both ways. And I think that's why we have to keep pressing. We got to keep the conversations going, you, me, and everybody. It's just like I started out talking about Kevin De Leon. Oh, we ain't forgot that you're a racist, homophobe, disgraced, anti-renter, anti-indigenous, anti-blackity, black. We ain't forgotten. You can call yourself a progressive all day long. Your true colors are showing. KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
Thank you for sharing a part of your day with us here on the Black Information Network. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest. New leaked messages from an aide to United Auto Workers President Sean Fain are shining light on the union's hardball tactics. Screenshots of the leaked messages from UAW Communications Director Jonah Furman about the union's strike strategy against Detroit automakers say the UAW is inflicting reputation damage and operational chaos at GM, Ford, and Stellantis. A former ESPN anchor is staying quiet on if she's running for Congress or not. It was reported earlier this week that African-American Sage Steele was being recruited to run by Republican leaders and donors. She was reportedly considering campaigning campaigning against Connecticut Democrat Jahana Hayes, who is also black. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Dell Technologies and Intel are pushing what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now.
Is this the tether? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man. The Dodgers kept pace with Atlanta for Major League Baseball's best record. They beat the Giants last night by 5. Designated hitter J.D. Martinez drove in 3 runs. The Dodgers are 3.5 games behind Atlanta for the best record and home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Interesting decision Saturday for college football fans in the western part of the country. The Colorado-Oregon game and UCLA's matchup at Utah both have 12:30 p.m. kickoffs. All 4 teams are 3-0 and ranked in the top 25. The UCLA-Utah game is on Fox. ABC is carrying the Colorado-Oregon game. This will be the first Pac-12 conference game for Colorado coach Deion Sanders. 5th-ranked USC has a night game Saturday at Arizona State. 7:30 kickoff on Fox. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
When you're young, life is full of choices. Don't let opioids like highly addictive and deadly fentanyl take away your life with just one wrong pill. Addiction is a disease that can affect anyone at any age. But there is a choice to get help for this disease. Find medically proven treatment options, including virtual, at choosemat.org.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm MC Light. You know me as the rapper. But guess what? I am the CEO of Sunny Girl Incorporated. We call it SGI. And SGI undoubtedly has a Cadillac, an Escalade to be exact. It's luxury at its finest. It's black, it's sleek, it's clean, and I can show up to any red carpet or any event and feel like I'm flossing. I love it. Cadillac.
Visit Cadillac.com for more.
Turning my pain into purpose is pretty much what I have done to start this foundation.
In August 2020, after the death of George Floyd, Bridget Floyd and other family members established the George Floyd Memorial Foundation in support of the Black community.
It's going to take more than just us as a foundation. It's going to take the community, the world, to make a change.
Fight for racial justice for the Black community. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time-to-talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
If you're a veteran with a service-connected disability that is directly impacting your ability to work, resources are available to help you find employment. VA's Veteran Readiness and Employment, or VR&E, can assist you with finding a job that uses your existing skills. Or, if you're interested in exploring a new field, a VR&E counselor can help you determine the right education or training options for a new career. Find out if VR&E is right for you by visiting va.gov/VRE today.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
It is indeed, and you are welcome into the space. 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. So much to cover. We never seem to get to everything. It looks like we're hurtling towards a shutdown as Republicans do whatever it is that they're doing. They're holding each other hostage, voting against themselves and each other, eating their young. It looks not good. Lawmakers on their way home after failing to move any kind of legislation forward in terms of funding the government. And that shutdown, if they don't get it together, which doesn't look good, will happen next week. Meanwhile, your boy, he who shall not be named, as I like to call him, the 45th president, has a court hearing today to find out how exactly things are going to go in that multi-million-dollar business fraud lawsuit against him and his company. That's a civil case that's meant to go to trial October 2nd, which is also right around the corner. This is the one brought by New York Attorney General Letitia James. It's a $250 million suit in financial penalties. Of course, there's no jail time attached to that, but it would put some pretty strict limitations on the Trump organization if they are able to prevail. Of course, they're denying any wrongdoing, but we're going to find out today how and in what manner this thing is going to continue to move forward. It also includes two of Trump's grown children and two of his employees for filing annual false financial statements. It's just one of a long list of legal hearings and proceedings that the former president has on his phone, I imagine, on his little date book or whatever, whoever keeps track of all these things for him. Again, he's not going to go to prison for this, but the judge can order them to pay back a bunch of money and penalties. So this could be very problematic, especially for someone who needs every penny at the moment to keep his orange-haired self out of an orange jumpsuit. Let's go to Molly Bell, calling from the city of Compton. Good morning.
Reparations in memory of our ancestors. God bless morning to you, Dominique, Miles. I enjoyed Dr. Ross, KBLA 1580, family delegation, and, of course, our chat room. And Golda White, you were just awesome, and I enjoyed that conversation and the things that was taken that you brought up. And I need a T-shirt like that. I'm with the blacks. Boy, you're on it. I'm glad that they're able to see that, and this will go down in annals too. Just like when we do that 1 year later program, I'm so glad that, because a lot of people may not have paid that much attention to it when it happened, but that is something great to do. And I also want to say that I love Reverend Taco. And for those he was into gang intervention. And years and years ago, he did a little speech. And one of the things that he spoke about was about gang members. And he compared them to Superman, and how Superman could faster than a speeding bullet, was able to leap tall buildings, and he was just great Superman. But only thing that hurt him was something called kryptonite, and that was part of Superman's planet. And so Superman had to stay away from that. And Reverend Taco told our young people, that's Superman's past. He said, you've got to stay away from that bad past. You don't have to glorify that. You don't have to brag about that. And I just thought that was so awesome for such a young man to make that comparison. And I'm hoping that right now that Trump's past, his kryptonite, will destroy him. Can't get away from it. I'm just saying. And on Wednesday, right and back up, for those who watched Beyonce when King Richard, and she did a video in a park right across the street from my house. Well, on Wednesday, a plane crashed right, which would have been my backyard was the front yard of where in the street where the plane crashed. But everybody came out safe, and I went out there early and videoed it live and posted it on my page. And I thank for all the people who were asking that everyone come out safe. And you had just done something with the Compton Airport. And while I had my video on, I had them to, I videoed the streets so everybody could see our potholes, and I mentioned that. And so, Dominique, I just wanted to ask you, I'm conflicted in Ukraine. I know Marvin Gaye asked us, who will save the children? And Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, he did such a moving speech, and he talked about the children that were taken to Russia and what was going to happen to them, and they were going to grow up not loving and not being. And I thought he did a great job, and I couldn't help to think about us as it relates to reparation. What happened to some of our children? Why are we so confused on democracy as opposed to injustice? I don't know. They said that most of our children came from, the immigrants came from Nigeria, Ethiopia, Egypt, Ghana, and Kenya. And so I'm just saying we've got to do that. But one thing before I close, we've got to not have fear. And fear, remember, Dominique, I think you used to say it on another station, that fear is false evidence appearing real. Let's not let that take us away. Man, Trump is going to jail. He's going to be deposed, his family and everything else. But we've got to pray for the children and pray for America, because we're going through something real scary right about this time. And slavery was part of our past, our kryptonite. And everybody just trying to bring it back up. We've got to stop it. I remind all you prayer warriors out there, you know what you've got to do. You've got to keep fasting. You've got to keep praying, because the struggle continues, but always to God be the glory. Thank you, Dominique.
Thank you, Molly Bell. A lot of great points. I understand what you're saying about the conflict, feeling conflicted about Ukraine. I agree with Marvin Gaye and you. We got to save the babies. And I always feel sad that the babies are prioritized based on the hue of our skin, right? I feel like it is the right thing for America to stand with Ukraine against the invasion by Russia, the disrespecting of their sovereignty, the annexing of their lands. I get that. The question is, what is the investment that we're willing to make? I know morally I stand with Ukraine. America stands with Ukraine. But there are so many wars going on. There are so many babies suffering, right? Whether it be in Libya, whether it be in Ethiopia, the Sudan. How do we decide? And in some of those cases, Yemen, they're suffering partly because of our alliances, i.e., we're supporting Saudi Arabia's campaign in Yemen. So what about those babies? What about the Haitian babies, the earthquakes and the disease that have been brought, the earthquakes, of course, by Mother Nature, but many times we rush in there to aid and help people, and we bring dis-ease, and we've seen that in Haiti. Why is it, once again, when you talk about the babies, it's about prioritization. Biden just signed in some kind of order speeding up 500,000 Venezuelans' access to being able to legally work in New York, right? Refugee applicants. But that doesn't apply to Haitians. Once again, it's not only the lighter-skinned would-be migrants, would-be refugees that seem to get preference. It's the more politically conservative, i.e. the anti-socialist folks that are coming out of Venezuela that are getting the priority. Meanwhile, those Haitians that have been through 2 earthquakes, a UN disaster, and the United States fumbling the ball in their aid are still waiting in Mexico. They're still being discriminated against in this country. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. So yeah, I think that moral dilemma is real. I know that we have, continue this conversation and call me if you want, 800-920-1580. I know we have committed $113 billion to Ukraine so far. $113 billion. So I think it's only wise and normal to be saying, whoa, how much more are we going to invest? And how does it stand in context to what we're doing everywhere else in the world? And even in our own country, where Republicans decided that we don't have enough money to feed 4 million American children through the child tax credit. We don't have money for that, but we can spend $113 mostly on weaponry in Ukraine. Make it make sense. I'm Dominique DePrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
In Big Tobacco's Fantasyland, children are the future. Here, tobacco companies are committed to higher education, offering scholarships to students who submit essays about the benefits of vaping. The tobacco industry even sponsors summer camps for kids. Don't worry, the tobacco-sponsored programs have been linked to leaving your kids more interested in smoking. In Big Tobacco's Fantasyland, the world's deadliest industry is your child's friend.
See reality at undo.org.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look. And unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So, let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California, once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at a gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event. Or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
Extreme heat can make you very sick and can be deadly. For Californians 65 and over, it's important to have a plan. Ask your healthcare provider if your medications affect your ability to cool down. Know the signs of heat illness and stroke, as well as the location of your nearest cooling center or air-conditioned space. And if you have loved ones over 65, be sure to check in on them on hot days. Learn how to stay safer from extreme heat at heatreadyca.com. Brought to you by the state of California.
What does access mean?
Access means owning a home. Access means growing my business.
Access means building generational wealth. No matter your goals, U.S. Bank Access Commitment Programs and initiatives provide the tools and resources to help you reach them. Access your financial goals at usbank.com/access. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DePrima right now.
So $113 billion. That's how much we've committed to the Ukraine so far. And again, I understand your moral dilemma, Molly Bell, because I feel like we do need to stand with the people of Ukraine. I don't agree with Republicans that, it's okay to allow an ally to just be invaded. But I don't agree with Mr. Biden that they get a blank check. Nobody gets a blank check. Nobody gets a blank check, especially if you're going to turn around and tell me funding for infrastructure is infrastructure is too expensive. A Green New Deal, so we can save our planet, too expensive. Feeding 4 million children through the child tax credit, too expensive. If you're going to sit here and tell me all these basic things that we need are too expensive, then you can't just give anybody a blank check, no matter what a great speech they make, and no matter what their needs are, especially in the case of Ukraine, when you see other allies backing off, and especially when the United States has given way more money than anybody else in the world. Poland now saying, you know what, we're not going to keep investing in this war, and most of that money has gone to weaponry and training. Meanwhile, we're about to shut down our own government over our supposedly fiscal concerns by the Republicans. They want to cut your Social Security, your Medicaid, your Medicare, your all of the programs they like to call entitlements, which are actually earned benefits. I'm going to cut all of that. But we got plenty of money for war to give to foreign countries that are trying to defend themselves and rightly defend themselves. Meanwhile, as I mentioned, disgraced former President DJT is now demanding that House Republicans continue their quest to shut down the government so that they can defund the federal criminal prosecutions against him. Make up your own language. I thought you guys hated defund everything. Defund the police, defund the criminal prosecutions. He's saying, and he tweeted this, or truth, whatever they call that, Truth Social this, Republicans in Congress can and must defund all aspects of crooked Joe Biden's weaponized government that refuses to close the border and blah, 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 blah. Basically, please shut down the government so I don't have to go to jail. That's my Trump translator. It's an internal app that I have in my brain after being forced to listen to this man lie profusely for years on end. Let's go to Cheryl calling us from LA. Good morning, Queen.
Hi. I'm really starting to frighten myself. Every day that goes by, I'm thinking, am I becoming a Republican? And I know I'm not. I'm a partisan Democrat. I want to see Democrats elected as much as they possibly can.
You're allowed to think independently. You're allowed to not always be on the party line. You're allowed that.
I hope so, because there are some issues where I have become just almost punitive, draconian.
Okay, Cheryl, hold that thought. I can't wait to hear what they are. Draconian Cheryl when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
Extended Family Outreach Ministry presents Praise Fest 2023, Worthy to be Praised Conference and Concert, September 23rd, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Redondo Beach Performing Arts Center. Morning worship, keynote address, and conference featuring women in creative arts ministry and leadership sharing our stories, His glory, giving all praise, honor, thanksgiving, and glory to God. Don't miss the afternoon Stand Up and Sing Praises concert with the Katinas, gospel singer Babby Mason, Three Daughters, and Kevin Click. That's Praise Fest 2023, Worthy to be Praised Conference and Concert, September 23rd, Redondo Beach Performing Arts Center. For more information and tickets, go to PraiseFest 2023 at Eventbrite.com. Plus, for the next 48 hours, use promo code KBLA48 to get your tickets free. You do not want to miss this day of praise. That's PraiseFest 2023 at Eventbrite.com.
Meet Joe A, Joe B, and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect. Support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Okay, you got it, Cheryl. You said, they say we get more conservative as we get older. That actually hasn't happened to me, but they say it does happen. And then again, we're under a lot of pressure, a lot going on in these times. So where have you become draconian, Cheryl?
Well, I don't want to punish people, but the immigration issue, let's face it is a crisis. I think sovereign nations such as ours, that we do have a right to be able to allow people in when we know that we need more people. This idea that you can literally pass through 5 different countries. And the one thing I agreed with on Biden, I agree with him on a lot of things, is that, look, show proof that you have at least attempted to receive asylum in one of the 3 or 4 or 5 countries that you've traveled through just to get to the United States. That's just, to me, that's very modest.
Well, if you're talking about people coming from south of the border, they're passing through a bunch of very impoverished states that may have similar conditions to the ones that they're leaving. So I think it's a fair point, but I don't think it's. Mexico's not taking anybody else. We've got them strained because we're making people wait in Mexico now. So.
Well, I'm at the point now. I think maybe everyone should just be summarily deported back to their countries. Come in some other way legally, hopefully. When you send plane loads of people back, make sure that all those planes are, also include tons of maybe humanitarian tools for those countries, send back Americans to help to see that those humanitarian needs are distributed evenly and equally and keep it out of the hands of the corrupt.
That all sounds good, and to your point, we've seen some problems with corruption in Ukraine with some of those massive dollars we're sending over there too. But to be fair, many of the problems, especially in a country like Haiti, right, are created by us. So to say, well, if we can just send us there to fix it when we're the ones that are in many cases the problem, that it's not quite that simple.
But those are generational. They might even, be millennial. Who knows? But those things can't be corrected overnight.
Well,
I just say it's time that
they're not all generational. Look at Honduras. There was a coup in Honduras. The democratically elected government was overthrown. But yet, President Barack Obama and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton decided to accept the government that ascended through a coup. That guy, his brother, turns out to be a drug lord. Now, Honduras is overrun by drug gangs, and Hondurans are running here in record numbers.
Well, but I still don't think that means that the rest of the United States has to be punished because of ill-conceived notions and actions by a sitting president. And again, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton didn't do that on their own. Like I said, there's a whole...
Well, yeah, that's true. That is generational. Our jacked up immigration process is generational. Cheryl, call me back another day because we got to talk about this. In fact, Attorney Nana Jomfi's coming next Thursday at 8 a.m. to talk about this. She's the head of the Black Alliance for Just Immigration, because there's a lot of nuances here. And I understand why people are getting tired, but I also believe that we're getting caught up in some of the hype as far as the level of crisis. So let's talk about it. Call me back. Right now we got news, traffic, and sports, and then our daily deep dive with Dr. Brenda Green. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thank you for sharing a